Hey, what's up, cats and kittens? And shout out to all my cerebral lights. It is she, the cerebral diva, and she is back with another episode of You Say What. And in today's episode of You Say What, we're going to be getting into a little bit of gossip. Uh, it's a little beef between Nicki Minaj and Wendy Williams. I'm not sure if you guys have seen what's happening between the two of them or have heard. So let me catch you up to speed. If you're an avid Wendy watcher like myself, then you probably saw last week's episode. During last week's episode, Wendy basically gave a pretty shady congratulations to Nicki Minaj on her wedding to Kenneth Petty. Kenneth Petty is the guy that you've been seeing Nicki Minaj with all over Instagram, and a guy that a lot of people are sort of side-eyeing in terms of him being in a relationship with Nicki. But to that, I say this. I don't have a dog in that fight. If Nicki likes it, I love it. Not my business to judge who she chooses to love. Nicki is a smart, enterprising woman. So I have a laissez-faire attitude about her relationship with Kenneth Petty. It's just, again, it's not my business. She knows what she's doing, and it's a choice that she's making. If she's happy, then I'm happy for her. So Kenneth has a little bit of a checkered past. He's been incarcerated for I believe it was manslaughter as well as some rape allegations. And every time Wendy brings up Nicki Minaj and her husband, she tends to keep coming back to that point. So Nicki, who obviously has seen Wendy make mention of this before, said in the recent episode of Queen Radio that she's tried to ignore being slighted by Wendy, and more importantly, having her husband being slighted by Wendy time and time again. Now, I say this. I feel Nicki because Nicki is a celebrity, Kenneth is not. You know, this is her man. He didn't necessarily ask to be thrust into the spotlight, but it is a byproduct of being with a celebrity that you two will become stardust, so to speak. So, Nicki was very offended by the things that Nicki said. Not only did Nicki talk about Nicki Minaj's current husband, she also referenced her brother and some sexual assault cases or molestation charges against him. So, Nicki basically went on her Queen Radio show and called Wendy the capital letter P. She talked about Pendy Prince and Pendy Williams and called Wendy a man and, pretty much the standard Wendy reads. And so for that, I have to give Nicki a D minus for the read, right? If you're going to read Wendy Williams, please, please, please become more creative. We've heard the man weeds time and time again. We've heard the capital letter P read time and time again. In fact, the first time I heard Wendy referred to as a capital letter P was by Wendy herself. Then I heard Black China do it, and now I'm hearing Nicki do it. So for me, that read is a little redundant at this point. It just doesn't really have any juice left in it. So if you're going to read Wendy Williams, please be more creative. Now, here's the thing, right? I do agree with Nicki. I think Wendy is extra, extra messy. Like, I think that she could have mentioned the wedding and left it at that. It was not necessarily to bring in Nicki's husband's previous charges, what have you. I just feel like obviously Wendy was doing it for the sake of sensationalism. So I don't think that it really had any relevance to the story, in my personal opinion. But again, if you're attached to Nicki, and you are her husband, people are going to put you under the microscope. They are going to scrutinize you. But you think that Wendy would have a little bit more empathy given what she's been going through lately, to not be like, I mean, the whole thing about irreverence is the Wendy brand, right? If Wendy wasn't irreverent, if she didn't say things that were off the cuff, no one would watch. But even if that is your brand, I do think that there has to be a limit. There has to be a cap. There has to be a line that you're not willing to cross. And I don't know if that line necessarily exists for Wendy. And so Nicki has a platform of her own, and so she's choosing to use her platform to fight back, which I think is great. It's like, okay, if you can't beat them, join them. Like, if you're going to talk about me, you know, all bets are off. Now, here's the one challenge that I have with Nicki, and some of the things that she said. One, when she calls Wendy Williams a man, I'm not sure if that's being transphobic or not. Comment below whether or not you think that that's being transphobic, or if all is fair in love and reading. So if you're reading that person individually, and you're calling Wendy Williams a man, and essentially disqualifying her from womanhood based on perceived male characteristics, her physical perceived male characteristics, is that slighting the entire trans community? And can you be an advocate for the LGBTQ community while calling someone a man based on their appearance? I don't know. So I'm really curious to know what you think. Azalea Banks gets in trouble for that a lot too, calling people, dropping F bombs and so on and so forth. So I don't know. I go back and forth because, if you offend me, there's no telling what might come out of my mouth. And I'm not necessarily attacking a group as a whole. I'm attacking you as an individual. So in that sense, I can definitely understand Nicki Minaj's sort of her attack mode, if you will. I can definitely understand why she would hit below the belt. It's like, look, this is what you do. So let me show you how. Let me give you a taste of your own medicine. So I'm really curious to know what you think, and whether or not you think Wendy should tone it down. Here's the thing. I strongly feel if Wendy tones it down, then people are going to tune out. People tune into Wendy to see, you know, how irreverent she can be, how disrespectful she can be, how flippant she can be. Like, that really is the How You Doing brand. If she suddenly becomes comported and refined and dignified, people aren't going to watch that. People like a mess. Even if I make videos, like, I can make videos about the most positive things, talk about politics, talk about things that are really culturally enlightening. No one will watch that. The moment you talk about something that is pop culture related, the moment you talk about someone else's struggle, someone else's scandal, or maybe even your own scandal, that's what people want to hear. So I definitely think that Wendy should continue doing what it is that she does, but I think that there should be a level of decorum in terms of how she proceeds. Because when you think about it, right, like, I was a huge fan of Kaya. Kaya cracked me up. I thought Kaya was just, the things that would come out of Kaya's mouth were just like, wow, did she actually say that? But at some point, it went from being funny to just being downright mean and hateful. And at that point, I decided to check out. I don't listen to Kaya anymore. If her videos come up as suggestions, I ignore them. I don't click on anything Kaya related just because I believe that at this point it's not funny anymore. It's just hateful. And when it becomes hateful, it's no longer funny, in my opinion. So let me know if you think that Wendy has crossed that line from being funny to being hateful, and whether or not you agree with Nicki Minaj's position in terms of her fighting back. Having said that, and really quick on the whole transphobic thing as it relates to Nicki Minaj, a lot of you might say, well, Nicki is friends with T.S. Madison, so she's not transphobic. That doesn't necessarily not make you transphobic, because if you think about it, there are lots of bigoted, racist white people who do business with black people every single day, because at the end of the day, it's their bottom line that they're the least non-discriminatory about. So doing business with someone doesn't necessarily make you an advocate. All right, having said that, you guys, like, comment, share, subscribe, share if you care. What else? Remember to live better, love harder, and think smarter. Remember, I do this for fun, not for a living. It is me, the Cerebral Diva, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Have a great Monday. Bye-bye.